Hello, welcome to another Becoming a Modern Man. We are playing our Hulk Flash deck once again against a Skred red deck this time. Sorry, I just skipped the opening a little bit, but basically our opener was Mog Fanatic, Protean Hulk, Inquisition, double Serum Visions, and a couple of lands. We lead off with an island into a Serum Visions, and we see Serum Visions Izzet Charm. Both of these cards are good and the ways of filtering, but I decided to bottom the Serum Visions and keep the Izzet Charm, just because that digs me a little bit deeper, and we already have another Serum Visions. And as much as drawing into more sort of filtering etc. is good, I do actually want to find the cards I want faster rather than having to draw through a load of other cards that may not be. We've got the option here of either going for an Inquisition and Serum Visions against, or we can keep up Izzet Charm mana. I decided to go for the Inquisition to just see what is going on with our opponent, and then we can follow that up with the Serum Visions. Seems like a nice play. So, hand disappeared unfortunately, but hopefully you got to see there briefly that our opponent had double Anger of the Gods, Chandra, Storm, Breath Dragon, and a Cough of the Hammer, with a few lands as well. So yeah, not too scary a hand, very slow start for our opponent. Anger of the Gods isn't something we're particularly bothered about, but we're going to have to take it, given that there's no other choices. So we feel pretty good about that as our opponent's hand. I'm just going to Serum Visions, and we see a Footsteps of the Goryo on top, which is really nice. Obviously, unfortunately, we could have actually just won next turn, I think. Depending on which order these cards are in, I suppose. Yeah, but we probably could have had a turn 3 win if we'd Izzet Charmed rather than Inquisitioned and Serum Visions. If I've calculated that correctly. But it's not going to make a great deal of difference. Our opponent's not going to be able to interact with us really in any meaningful way, at least pre-sideboard by the looks of things. So some Skred red decks do run main deck Relic, I guess, but we're going to be able to put this Footsteps on top, and just going to bottom the looting. So that should set us up for a win on the next turn. So, up his third land, nothing to do. Izzet Charm, discard the Hulk and the Fanatic, so we have our win condition available for us, that being the Fanatic. And we just Footsteps to the Hulk. Dies end of turn, and then we can combo off. So that was a nice quick turn 4 win. Opponent had a hand that was far too slow to really interact with us, and just able to combo off here. So the Revelark, and then we're able to get the body double Mog Fanatic combination going. So that ends game 1. So let's go on to game 2. So our initial opener is a no-lander, unfortunately, so not going anywhere. Rot Needle's in. I assume he's got relics in his deck. Like I say, it's quite a common card in Skred Red, sometimes even in the main deck, so decided to bring some of those in. And Echoing Truth is another sideboard card we had to bring in. Again, potentially deal with relic or possibly other cards he might have to deal with our combo. Again, no lander, so I'm actually going to have to go down to 5. As a 5 card hand goes, this is quite good. Unfortunately, the deck isn't the most amazing at mulligans, mainly because you've got a lot of cards that are sort of disadvantage or sort of parity, I guess, in that you draw an equal number of cards and then have to discard some. So it makes some choices quite difficult. I mean, really all you ever need is to get 3 mana and have Footsteps, I suppose, so there is that. But sometimes you do want to keep some of the other cards in your hand. just in case something bad happens, etc. So having few cards in hand and then few cards to choose from when discarding is certainly not ideal. We also really need a red source with this current hand. Don't leave us with a Pyrite Spellbomb. I thought sees. Sorry, we've gone through that a little bit fast. We see Wormcoil Engine, Cough of the Hammer, Blood Moon, and then 3 mountains. Not interested in playing Blood Moon against us. Could stop our footsteps. We don't have any basic swamps in the deck as it stands, so definitely need to get rid of that. He uses a Pirate Spellbomb to draw a card, which is fine. It's not ideal. Doesn't look like he drew a Bolt. Trying to Steam Vents, which is nice. It means you can use this as a charm. Someone plays Relic. Actually, unfortunately, couldn't have countered that with the Izzet Charm, as he would have the mana up to protect it. So that is something we don't want to see. I was reluctant to Izzet Charm there because I didn't want to discard the Viscera Seer into the graveyard for him to clear it out. That seems like something I didn't particularly want to do. So we just left it. There's no particular urgency at the moment. Our opponent's not really pressuring us, and we know his hand's quite slow. Cough and Wormcoil Engine. We find the Pithing Needle with our Serum Visions, which definitely want to use to turn off his Relic, so I'm going to keep that on top and then Serum Visions into it. Needle's also good against his Planeswalkers as well, potentially, but I think we're more concerned about Relic, really. I could have Serum Visions and then just played the Needle straight there, but I decided that it's potentially going to cast Cough next turn, which I would rather possibly counter with the Izzet Charm. So I thought this was open. So I'm going to play the Needle now, having drawn it naturally. Opponent exiles his Relic in response, obviously predicting that's what I'm going to name. Find a couple of Serum Visions off the top and draw an Izzet Charm. Leave the Serum Visions on top. I think here we actually could use a bit more filtering, etc. And cards that don't make us discard would be nice, just because we're a little light on cards in hand. We'll play Cough. Decided that it's probably worth countering that. It's going to be quite a good clock on us, and if he follows it up with Wormcoil fairly shortly after, then that will definitely finish us off, or at least fairly certainly. So it seemed worth doing it, particularly as we've got another Izzet Charm and we've got a series of Serum Visions on the way. We see Ideas Unbound and Polluted Delta. Decided to keep the Ideas Unbound. Again, it's a card that can dig us a bit deeper, and we can actually Serum Visions into that this turn and cast it. So see Looting and Echoing Truth on top. I don't think we want either of these cards. Oh, actually I kept Looting on top, which might have been a mistake. I kept it just because it would be a good card to discard the Ideas Unbound. We're running a little bit light on gas, so having the flashback card in there would have been good, but I don't know if I kept too many cards on top in this matchup. Maybe should have just tried to dig that bit harder. So Ideas Unbound unfortunately doesn't really find as much. Needle, Viscera Seer and the Looting that we kept on top. Probably just going to discard the cards we drew essentially. I suppose we could discard the second Seer. Yeah, I suppose we might as well discard the Seers, seems though we've drawn them. Though it does make our combo slightly awkward from this point, as we will have a sacrifice outlet to search up. So opponent plays his 6th land, Scrying Sheets, plays Wormcoil Engine. We don't really have a lot we can do. Like I say, if we play Faithless Looting we'd have to discard all the cards in our hand, so, or just discard everything we picked up, so that doesn't seem ideal. Use a Charm end of turn, find Thoughtseize and land, which is no good. Go into Ideas Unbound, which we're going to be able to use, but that finds us body double, faithless looting, just to see if we can find anything. Do end up finding the footsteps, but it's no good as we never actually find the Hulk. So yeah, didn't work out the best. Logan to 5 hurt us pretty badly. We did manage to see a lot of cards, but unfortunately we weren't actually fast enough on this occasion. So yeah, this is kind of what happens occasionally with the deck. Get a bit of inconsistency. I suppose I did keep a hand without any combo pieces in it, so I was searching for quite a lot, and unfortunately didn't work out in our favour this time. Let's go on to game 3. Gonna be on the play. So this is a fairly decent hand. Got one of our combo pieces this time. We've got the needle to turn off the relic. Some vision, Thoughtseize, Ideas Unbound, so some draw, some discard as well. Just going to lead off visions, see a couple of lands on top which we don't really want. Just going to bottom those. Got 3 lands, which is, like I say, probably all we need. Got turn 1 relics. I suppose we could have turned 1 Thoughtseize to get rid of that, but given that we have the needle, it's not too upsetting. That's going to be able to turn that off, and he's not going to be able to draw a card off his relic. So that seems fairly good for us. I'm going to Thoughtseize now. Take a look at his hand. So Bolt, Solemn, Wormcoil, Chandra. All a little bit slow, not too scared about any of this, but I suppose that depends on how well we draw. Chandra seems like the bigger long-term threat. It's actually capable of letting him draw cards. Solemn's also a little bit annoying as it, ramps and is going to be able to attack us for 2 each turn. But either way, it's quite a long way off, and I think Chandra's the scarier long-term threat, so it's hard to get rid of that. Alternatively, I probably would have taken Solemn, just because Wormcoil is so far away. I don't think it's worth discarding. Footsteps of the Goryo, which is perfect. We've now got our combo together. We just need to be able to discard this Protean Hulk, and we'll be able to win next turn. So set up for another turn 4 win. The opponent can't do anything about it, given that his relic's turned off with the needle. So it's a nice use of our sideboard cards. Can run up the land, and gonna discard Hulk. Probably land and looting, I guess. We can actually clear the way with Thoughtseize, just in case he has got something in hand. I can't think of anything in mono red that would be particularly good, but just for safety's sake, we can actually Thoughtseize before using the footsteps. And does nothing on his turn. Draw into an Echoing Truth. Like I say, just for safety's sake, we're going to Thoughtseize our opponent first. Doesn't have anything exciting going on since last time we looked. Looks like he might draw on a land or something. And we're just going to be able to win here, despite our opponent's relic of Progenitus. Pretty good. So yeah, that wraps that one up. Obviously not the most competitive of matchups. I think our opponent was a fairly slow version of Skred Red, which probably didn't help him out. But you can see decks that can't interact with us are usually a bit of a struggle, except when we get some slightly inconsistent draws, which is kind of what happened in game 2. So a reasonable example of how the deck works against sort of non-interactive decks, and how it answers sideboard threats like Relic, or at least can do.